All right, so in this section, in section 2.5, we're going to be looking at some applications of sets. So in the last few sections, we've definitely looked at Venn diagrams. We've talked about intersections, unions, complements. We've looked at Venn diagrams that have 2 sets. We've looked at Venn diagrams that have 3 sets. So in this section, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at more story problem type things, where we're going to be using a lot of the stuff that we have used in previous sections along with our Venn diagrams. So in this first example, we have a case of 2 overlapping sets, and we're given a list of information. Right? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through and fill in our Venn diagram at the bottom of the page, and then we're going to use that information to answer the questions A through D that we see. So at Erie Community College, a survey was taken to determine where students studied on campus. Of the 250 students surveyed, it was determined that 167 studied in the library, 138 studied in the cafeteria, 75 studied in the library and cafeteria. So we're going to start with, we're going to take this information and we're going to label our Venn diagram. So I'm going to use L to stand for library, C to stand for cafeteria, and then our universal set that we have here. All right, so our first step is going to be to fill in our center portion. Right, so that is this 75. Right, so this is our intersection of students who studied in the library and the cafeteria, right, which is 75 people. Right, and this is step 1. And we're going to put that 75 right in the center of our Venn diagram that we see there. Right, so that intersection, that number is going to go in here to begin with. All right, now we're going to take the other information in our problem and use that to fill in the other portions of our Venn diagram. So if we look at this, and if we were to label these, the number of students that studied in the library is 167. The number of students that studied in the cafeteria is 138. Now, these numbers, this 167 and this 138, also include that 75 that we have here. Right? But we're going to use these to fill in, right, our other areas in step 2. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We had 167 that studied in the library. So we're going to do a quick subtraction. We're going to take 167 minus that 75 that we've already placed in our intersection, and then we get 92. So that's going to be the number of students that studied just in the library. Right. We're told up in our problem that 138 studied in the cafeteria. So we're going to take 138, again, minus that 75 that we've already used, and we have 63. Right. So step 2 is filling in that information. Then to finish off our Venn diagram, we're going to complete it by taking step 3. We need to figure out how many students have yet to be counted. So what we're going to do is we're going to add up 92 plus 75 plus 63. And if we add up those 3 numbers here, we end up with a total of 230. Right? In our original problem, we were told that there were 250 students that were surveyed. So we're going to take the total of 250 minus the total that we added up in these 3 areas, which gives us 230. And we subtract those, and we have 20 people left over in our universal set. Right? So filling in this universal set is step 3 in this particular problem. Right, now that we have that done, well, now we can use that information to answer our questions that we see up above here. Right, so question A. Of those surveyed, how many students did not study in the library or cafeteria? Well, that's going to be those 20 people that we just found here. Right? So those 20 people did not study in the library or the cafeteria. Right? For B, studied in the library but not the cafeteria. Right? That's going to be these 92 people here. So they studied in the library, but they were not in the intersection. So they were only people who studied in the library. All right, for C, well, we have the opposite, studied in the cafeteria, but not the library. That's going to be the 63 people that we see over here. And then for D, studied in either. Well, here we're going to add up all of our areas in the middle, right, which we've already done, but we're going to go ahead and write it out. So 92 plus 63 plus 75 in the intersection. Right, so either means in either the library or cafeteria or both. Right? And that's going to give us a total of 230 students, right? Which is also the same total that we subtracted to get the 20 that were outside. So as we're going through and we're working through these problems, you're going to see a couple that have 2 sets, a few that have 3 sets as you're working through your homework. As always, we start with our inside and we work our way outside. And once we have the Venn diagram filled in, we can answer the rest of the questions. Again, we're making sure that we're using subtraction as needed to fill in our Venn diagram.